Welcome to episode 23 of the Hike or Die Outdoor Adventure podcast. We have a very special guest for you podcast listeners, outdoor adventure enthusiast.
Hey, Craig. Hey, mate.
Yep.
That's a bit deceitful. I'm not really a special guest. You should probably just play the music, mate. Thank you, as always, to our regular podcast sponsors for their support. Topo Maps Plus, a phone application that allows you to view topographical maps, track your location, even without cell phone coverage. Go deeper into the backcountry. Rios floating polarized sunglasses with 100% UV protection for the love of water. Bluey Merino, Australian superfine merino wool base, mid and top layer garments. Where our story ends, yours is just beginning. Caribou, one of Australia's leading backpack, travel and outdoor brands. They supply us with dry bags, waterproof day packs and expedition bags. Supporting our sponsors allows us to continue to produce this podcast, so please jump online and check out what they have to offer. G'day guys, how you doing? This is a very unusual situation here, but I think we're all in unusual situations at the moment. I'm sitting, let me paint a picture here, Craig. You saw it on the screen when I first jumped on to this call.
Yep.
I'm literally jammed underneath my kid's bunk bed, and I had to adjust the chair down because my head was touching the bunk. He's got this desk under here, which is perfect, and I won't go into detail, but I had to take this room because it was the quietest in the house and I could get away from everybody. But I'm absolutely surrounded by Lego. There's Harry Potter Lego right next to me, which is pretty awesome. If I get bored with all the stuff you're saying, Craig, I'll just be in my own world here.
Yeah.
There's a Quidditch game going on here. So
perfect.
Is that what it's called? That's what it's called, isn't it?
Looked like you're in a cupboard, man.
Well, yeah, it was. It's very similar feeling to that. I'm jammed in here, but obviously, Craig and I had plans to get out a couple of days ago and try and bring this to you guys from the outdoors. But things happen, and we didn't quite get out there. I was a bit busy with work and stuff, but now we've got more sort of severe lockdowns. It's not really appropriate for me to drive to Craig's house and hang out in his studio with him, given that we both got families we're trying to keep healthy and all of that. So I didn't really want to dwell on the COVID-19 thing too much, but I will say this, that the reason that we haven't done a podcast for a while is not purely because of the virus. We pushed it pretty hard moving up to the end of the year. We squeezed in quite a few episodes in that last 2 months and really sort of earned a little break there. We had intentions of coming back around late January, I guess. And then the whole bushfire thing happened. And whilst I'm not going to, try and make out that Craig and I were directly affected by that, it definitely affected where we hiked. And, well, in fact, it completely stopped that 100%, because even places that were open, I wasn't comfortable knowing the area so well. I wasn't comfortable with going into any of those places because I knew they were damn hard to get out of if the wind was blowing the wrong way. So it just wasn't worth the risk. Add on top of that, some not so good family news and things that we've had to deal with ourselves, and we're all of a sudden in this strange situation. But as I said, I don't want to dwell on it, but I did want to make this point that I considered potentially not continuing. I wouldn't say not continuing, but maybe just giving this podcast a rest, because I didn't want to to any way come across as that we're not taking this seriously, or that we're kind of making light of the situation. And then a few days ago, I think it was after a conversation with Craig, I thought to myself, it would be wrong not to go ahead and do this, because now more than ever people are stuck in their homes and craving some sort of content. And we can't all go hiking. I know there's different restrictions through different states and countries around the world, and we do literally have listeners across the entire globe, and I know some of those will be stuck indoors. In fact, I know for a fact that our old mate Jodes is somewhere in the middle of a quarantine. So that's when it kind of sunk in. I thought, hang on, there's a bit of a duty there to dust off the old mics and deliver something. Now, whether that is two Australian idiots talking about something that they don't know or not, well, that's up to you guys. I'm not going to make that judgment. And before so that's unless you want to add anything to that, the COVID thing, Craig. There's only really one other point I want to make, but is there anything you want to add, mate?
Oh, no, man. Look, it's going to change the way we have to do things, and we're all taking it pretty seriously over here. I think it's on the lighter note, mate. I've got a nice cozy studio all to myself tonight. We don't have to. I don't have to deal with you in the studio at the moment. I'm actually in your chair.
This is true.
I'm in your chair.
This is true.
Oh,
really?
I'm using your microphone.
Oh, wow.
So you're probably going to have to buy a new one. Yeah.
Yeah, there's words I want to say, but I can't say them on air. About you being a cheat, or rather my microphone cheating on me.
Yeah, but it was weird to think of us doing this as we are, in different parts of the country, mate. But
it was inconceivable. I mean, it was one of those things I really enjoy. Getting in the car, coming over to your place at some ridiculous hour at night, because we've got to wait until kids are in bed and everything, and then getting the time in the studio and then having a good laugh, and we have a good catch up at the same time. So it's really different to be on the end of the line. I know how the guests feel now, mate.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you how they feel. They feel like bloody kings.
Oh,
they feel like royalty.
That's it,
they
mate.
Feel
awesome.
like they're well looked after.
Yeah.
The only other one thing I wanted to add is, I just want everyone to be safe out there, and we all love hiking, right? Outdoors, canoeing, whatever it is, you're all here for the same reason. That's why we do the podcast. That's why you're listening. The only point I'm going to make is every country has different restrictions. Follow the rules, do the right thing. But there's one thing to consider, and this I've certainly taken this into consideration with my plans, is if you were to get into any kind of trouble out there, I mean just simple things, just a mechanical injury, you trip down, you trip over a boulder and you've sprained your ankle and you literally can't walk, what you're going to be doing is, well, first of all, you could be waiting a very long time. Depending on what country you're in, you could be waiting a very long time for help. Secondly, they're going to be deploying medical staff and search and rescue staff potentially to come and get you. That could be utilized elsewhere. So that's the only consideration I want people to take, and that's something that I've definitely kept in my head when I've been making decisions. So yeah, I don't want to dwell on it. I know this podcast is not about that. This podcast is about having a really good laugh. We've got plenty of stuff to catch up on with you guys. So yeah, should we keep on cruising, Craig, and leave that?
Yeah, sure, man.
Dust?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, keep rolling. That's good.
So yeah, look, so many people reached out to us. I don't bother telling you about it, Craig, because you don't really care about our listeners, so I just don't bother telling you. But so many people reached out to us over just over every medium. When the bushfires hit, people were emailing us, they were hitting us up, they were DMing us on Instagram, sending us private emails. It was just really, really fantastic. I was overwhelmed. Some beautiful messages came through. People genuinely checking in, and then of course there was us being off air for some time, and I think the two married up, and everyone got a bit concerned. Obviously because we spend so much time outdoors, they probably considered that. But I'm not going to dwell on it now. When we jump over to shout outs later on, I'll read a couple of things out. There's a bit of good stuff in there.
Yeah, cool.
But as for news, I wanted to hit a few kind of happy things because, well, first of all, we all need it, right?
Yeah, sure, man.
And second of all, I'm literally scrolling through my notes now, making sure that I didn't put some morbid story in there. Because sometimes I do that.
You do.
No. This is good stuff. Okay, so out of the bushfire disaster over here, natural disaster, so many good stories came out of that. I know it was devastating. It was devastating for people. It was devastating for property and animals, plants, everything, right? But there's a couple of cool stories, Craig, and I'm wondering if you did catch any of these. First of all, there was an absolutely amazing video that somebody shot on their iPhone of these four-wheel drives literally driving into this lake.
No.
So it was kind of like, it's incredible. So it's a shallow bed lake, probably sandy bottom or something, not like a muddy, deep thing. And this fire was coming over the ridge, and the smoke was getting thicker, and it was coming down towards their campsite. So these people are out camping for the weekend, not really. They could have been a long way away from the fire when they first set up camp on the Friday night or the Saturday morning, but at some point this has moved in on them. And then a couple of forward drives, I can't remember how many, but just started to drive into the lake and drive right out into the lake, and they all just sat there filming back at their campsites. And that was pretty cool, pretty amazing footage. And they all were, 100% fine.
Yeah.
It just came and went quickly. So that was pretty cool. I'll put a link up to that. There's an article I found. All this is really old news now, but it doesn't take away from the fact that it was pretty damn cool.
Oh, there was some amazing footage and stories and stuff that we saw on the news. Hey, and it was huge. Some of those walls of fire. Hey, scary.
Oh, it was enormous. Yeah. Scary. Yeah. So my relatives live about 50 minutes from here, and the footage coming out of that place, we already actually, I put a link up to that footage in a previous episode because we did talk about the fires. And it just looked like snow, except it was embers going across the road. It was incredible. But Craig, stop talking about the negative stuff, mate. I told you I wanted to stay on the positive side of it.
Bring it.
So another story that came out of that was a lot of native animals were, in a sense, cut off from escaping, or the land that they were on had been burnt out, and so it had no nutritional value to a large number of the animals. So what they were doing was they were flying over these plains, and they're literally just pouring out thousands of kilograms of carrots and potatoes. It was awesome, man. So it was awesome. There's such good photos.
Oh, really?
There's such good photos of this. Like one of those big,
like a military plane or something.
Fast and Furious planes where you drive the car out of the back. It's like that, except the dude's throwing crates of carrots out the back. And then there's pictures of the animals on the ground chomping on the carrots and stuff. So that was just such a unique idea. I'd never even considered how to kind of distribute that much food. But yeah, that must have gone down really well for the animals, I reckon, who were struggling to get nutrition from leaves and plants and roots that were normally there.
Yeah.
So yeah, oh, that's pretty cool. And if you are a new listener to the podcast, you may not be aware that for each episode, I do up a page of show notes. You can find that on HikeordieTV.com/podcast, if my memory serves me correct. And you'll be able to go through and find any of the links I'm talking about. If I'm talking about a news article or a video, or even if I'm talking about a book or whatever, I'll throw links on there and images on there so that you can go and reference it later. Normally, people listen to us when they're working out or driving long distances or flying or anything. But in this case, you're probably sitting at your laptop already and you can just look up this cool stuff.
Yeah.
All right, here's another I've got so many feel good stories out of the fires, Craig. I've done well.
Mate, you have.
I've
That's really
impressed
good.
myself. Yeah, I thought you'd be impressed. I'm gonna have a sip of water.
Yeah. No,
All
look,
right,
it's
stay hydrated. It's gonna be a long night.
mate, that's a good twist on this, is to bring some stories that are actually feel good. Like, I really appreciate that, mate. I have missed the fact that we haven't been chatting for a little while on this podcast, because you always bring the goods, and it's always good listening to what you've been researching. So yeah, bring it on.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it, and it's hilarious because you can't sneak a peek at my notes anymore.
You never show me, man. You never show me.
Yeah, I know. I never do, but I always try and hide them.
Yeah.
Put up the piece of paper in between us, like we're doing an exam or something. Okay, dinosaur trees. That's what we're talking about now. Dinosaur trees. Firefighters save endangered Wollemi pines from New South Wales bushfires. Specifically, no, that's not correct. A specially deployed team. I reckon that's a typo. That should be a specific. That sounds better. Let me rewrite the article on the spot, tell you the headline I would have had: a specifically deployed team
Right. Yeah.
of highly trained assassins. That's incorrect. I've added that. They send remote area firefighters, and they help save trees from the giant mountain fire. So you can't appreciate this until you actually go and have a look on the article that I'm going to post. But if I had to describe it, I'm describing an enormous kind of gorge with very, very high walls, but very vertical. Okay, so it's not a gradual thing. You'd never be able to just walk down into this gorge. The photograph they've shown, obviously from a plane or a drone, all the tops of all of these ridges are burnt to a crisp. They're all black and they're brown, and the trees are all, the leaves are already suffering. And then when you look down into this, it's kind of a T-junction of sorts. There's a lush canopy of treetops down in this gorge. And so, going back to the article, what they did was they quite literally send out these badass firefighters to go down and make sure that they do not lose this one pocket of trees. These trees are so unique and so well guarded that they actually don't give the location out, and you can only go there if you apply for. You have to go there. You have to be sort of a botanical person or a scientist or something to be allowed to even go there. It's a little bit of a really well kept secret. Certainly the first time I'd ever heard of it, but really interesting. So there's fewer than 200 of these trees left in the wild, and the government said they had to do everything they could to save them. Just describing it as an unprecedented environmental protection mission. Craig. Was a freaking mission.
Jeez.
Yep. As the fire approached, helicopters water bucketed the fire edge to reduce its impact on the grove of trees.
Wow.
Incredibly cool. And there's a picture of the specialist team. And he's checking out a leaf and he seems pretty happy with himself that he saved the trees.
Sounds like they did it. Sounds like they did it, eh?
They did it, mate. They did it. There will be no Hollywood movie made about it, sadly, but it's worthy, let me tell you. That was dinosaur trees. Are you ready for more yet?
Yeah, mate. Totally. Go for it.
Okay, good. You're ready? Okay, good. Here's one. Now, how many times do I give you news, Craig? Oh, and sometimes you've got your own.
Yeah.
And it's about people getting lost.
Mm-hmm.
It's about people needing to get rescued because they don't follow what we would consider to be simple, what would you say, like just a checklist to let people know where you're going, stick to it, and give people times and dates and all this sort of stuff. So I won't go on about that because people are sick of me talking about it. But what I will tell you about is this amazing story that, again, comes out of the Australian bushfires. There's this couple, Josh and Kate, and they were heli evacuated from the wilderness. It's called the Jagungal, I believe. Jagungal Wilderness Area. It's in the Blue Mountains. So these guys are hardcore cyclists. They've got these massive mountain bikes, and they've got all their gear on it, and they basically ride everywhere. They were planning, I think in their words, a leisurely 160-kilometer ride over 5 days through the Blue Mountains, down all the trails. So they're not, and these guys are super experienced, right? They've done plenty before. This is not their first rodeo. And what happened was they started to, as they were riding along, there's a couple of photographs that Dave submitted to this article, the sky just went kind of this rich dark red color, and as he was sort of saying in the article, it just looked like he could see his own shadow on the ground, and then it kind of disappeared, and he thought it was he felt like he was riding into Armageddon. And they wondered if they were going to die.
Jeez. Yeah.
Then so he goes into a lot of detail about that. It's a pretty cool little read. And then he says, that's when we heard the chopper. It began to circle around us. I immediately felt relieved. They spotted us easily. So this is funny. He says here, Kate, obviously his partner. Kate, however, had just finished boiling water and filling our backcountry meal. Backcountry meal is a dehydrated meal brand in Australia. Her initial thought was that she was getting busted for using the jet boil. That's pretty funny. Anyway, the moral of this story, and it even has a segment called The Moral of the Story. Josh filled out a trip intention form before they went on to this trip. And this is one available through, it's one of the states in Australia for our international listeners. So New South Wales National Parks and Wildlife Service. I'm not aware of anything in our state, and I certainly don't know anything about the rest of the world, but you basically go onto this online form and you fill out your name, your address, all of your details, when you are starting the trip, which trail you're taking, estimated time, start times, finish times, exit points, where you're going to park your car, and then there's obviously a section for whatever else you want to put in there, all your contact details and everything. So it's pretty cool. So you fill all of this out, and then that's on record. Now, what happened in this situation, and quite possibly what saved these guys' life, is they filled out one of these trip intention forms online, and they had no idea that the fire was coming towards them at all until the sky started to get quite dark, right? So that's what you got to take into consideration. They were a long, long way from the fires. They certainly weren't doing anything silly, because they later learned that the fires traveled 50 kilometers in one day.
Mm.
So that, it's quite a considerable amount of country that's covered. But what the authorities knew was exactly where they were going to be, which 2 points they were going to be between the two campsites, and decided that the speed at which this fire was moving, they were going to get down there and intercept this pair and helivac them out. So, that's just a fantastic story. And if ever, watch that cough, mate. And if ever you needed,
I knew it was going to happen tonight.
People don't know that you spark up the wacky weed every time we get on air.
That's what it is, yeah.
Just being busted. So where was I? Yeah, fantastic example of someone doing the right thing, and quite literally their lives getting saved. None of the rescue party was in danger because they knew exactly where to look for these people. They found them first go. So,
but can I pick you up on that, man? Because obviously we didn't really know about this trip record that they filled in. I mean, I've not heard of that before. And immediately when there were lots of bushfires, I started going to that place where I went, there must be lots of people out on trails that could be, and no one is going to know how to warn them or whatever. So I think it's amazing that not too many people who were bushwalkers or whatever were identified on the news as being caught up.
Absolutely, yeah. Look, I think most people, these guys were already into their trip.
A
5-day trip, so it wasn't just easy for them. If they're halfway through a 160-kilometer trip, it's not easy for them to just bail because there's nowhere to bail.
No.
It's a bit different if you're half a day's walk into something and you decide to turn around and go home.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that definitely. I didn't hear any news of anyone having any trouble out there, and I think that's because Australians have a pretty good respect for bushfires. Yep. We've all kind of grown up with this sort of thing.
Yeah,
we know how serious it is, and we just stay away for a few weeks, and everything comes good. They all simmer down. We finally got rain, and that's exactly what happened here. We got rain dumped on us for 2 weeks straight, and people were celebrating that they were putting the fires out. So that's kind of how we sit things out. Surprises me why we're not better at sitting other things out, but yeah. I'm not going to go into that. Okay, Craig, what if are you scared of sharks?
Oh yeah, yep.
Yeah, okay,
no doubt.
Well, it's a good thing that you don't spend much time in the ocean, right?
Right. Yeah.
You don't have to worry about them.
No.
It's not like they walk or anything, is it?
No.
Well, National Geographic. Listen to this for a intro, Craig.
Yeah.
Sharks have roamed the world's oceans for hundreds of millions of years. In that time, many species have barely changed, but some strange sharks are still evolving and have even learned to walk. Dun, dun, dun. True story, man.
Sounds like a bad movie, mate. It sounds like a terrible flick.
It does. Do not go to Papua New Guinea,
okay,
Craig. Okay? Because that is all of your fears wrapped into one. If you go swimming, there's sharks. If you don't go swimming, there's sharks.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. The leopard, I can't say the word. It's too crazy. Epaulette shark is a species of walking shark found in coral reefs in the Milne Bay region of eastern Papua New Guinea. Yeah, how cool is that? 3 foot long enough to take a foot off.
Right.
That's plenty long enough. And as their name implies, they move their pectoral fins in front and pelvic fins in the back to plod along the seafloor or even atop coral reefs outside of the water at low tide.
Jeez.
It allows them to wriggle between tide pools in different areas and reach the top of reefs where they can get prey that's normally not accessible to other fish on low tide.
Freaky.
How cool is that?
That's man. I'm not.
There's video of it.
Okay, yeah, I'll watch the video.
Yeah.
I scare easily, but luckily then I can be walking around where I walk, so that's good. That's good.
Yeah, no,
not yet.
They're not freshwater yet. They haven't evolved. Oh, what's this bit? No, just kidding. It looks quite cute in the top photograph, but then when you go down to the video and you see it from the side on,
yeah,
it's pretty kind of brutal looking thing. It's striped like a anaconda sort of thing.
Yeah, nice.
Anyway, walking sharks. Lots of our listeners are going to have dreams tonight.
Yeah.
Horrific dreams. All right. Have I got some uplifting stuff for you right now? There was a video somebody showed to me this week, and it's called Sensing Science. And what they did was they took a Japanese biology class out of the classroom on their very first lesson. That doesn't sound all that unique. But the entire class is visually impaired. And through this video, you see them take these kids to this, I shouldn't call them kids, they're teens, whatever, students, to this park or this green area, and they take them up to this tree trunk and get them to all touch the tree trunk, and immediately their voices just light up and their faces light up with massive smiles, and the banter between them is just terrific. Like, they just start saying things that are so accurate, but at the same time we take them for granted because we can visually see the bark. But they were touching their bark and saying, wow, I can't believe how straight the lines are on the bark of this tree, or how rough it is, or how this it is, and this leaf feels like it's a bit shriveled up. And the teacher says, well, yeah, that leaf's dying. And they go, wow, I can't believe it. And this leaf feels like it's full of water. And she goes, yeah, well, that's a leaf in good condition. And it was absolutely amazing to hear these kids. Well, you can hear them, they speak Japanese, but read the subtitles.
Yeah.
It was fantastic to read what they were saying.
Wow.
And it immediately made me think of my kids, because he said, he tagged me because at the moment, for the last 2 weeks, I've been homeschooling my kids, and on, I think, the second day or something of homeschooling, I took them down to our little nature reserve at the end of the street, and they were sketching pictures of certain trees and stuff that they wanted to then come back and research and write about later as just a little project. And so he kind of sent me that as a bit of a joke and said, oh, look, it's something you could do. And I thought, well, why not? Wouldn't that be cool to get the kids to close their eyes or blindfold them, and then get them to use their other senses to touch the tree trunk or some leaves or whatever it might be, and then kind of describe it and try and use those other senses. It's pretty cool. It made me think a lot.
Yeah, well, it's great to hear that they appreciate it without the visual sense, because that's...
Oh, they were loving it, mate. Loving it so much.
Yeah,
and they took some leaves and stuff back to the classroom and continued to kind of compare notes and everything. And these kids are handing around leaves to each other and rubbing it on their cheeks, sort of thing, to feel the shapes of the leaves and Yeah, it was cool. It's really good. I'll post that video. It's a little article that goes with it, and it was just something really positive that came across this week.
Yeah, nice. Hmm. Yeah, I
Am I
guess
doing all right?
you're doing good, man. You're doing great. I mean,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
one,
Oh, good.
that
Good.
no, that one was just cruising in onto me, and I'm thinking, oh yeah, we go out there to, and we appreciate it. I think we appreciate what we can see, or how it feels to be like lugging heavy packs up a hill or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But there's more to it if it's just a feeling, an emotional attachment to something. I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's definitely something to be said about, and I know, I've experienced this a little bit through meditations many years ago. If you turn off one of your senses, and that, obviously the easiest one for us to turn off is eyesight, just closing our eyes. All of a sudden, sometimes it doesn't happen instantly. You need to actually remember to use those other senses, but you definitely start to pick up a lot more. And you know from spending so much time in the wilderness that the smells that go along
Yeah,
with hiking is something pretty special as well.
yeah, for sure.
And yeah, I remember I was in uh, that big gorge that we you haven't actually hiked up it. I've been up it a few times.
Which one?
Gold Coast.
Oh, Kumara.
Yeah. I was down there one night, and there was the place just went crazy. There was frogs going crazy, and it was things jumping around everywhere. And
Mm.
those big blue and white crayfish.
Oh, for sure. Yep.
Yeah, probably about some of them would easily be
They're amazing.
the from the tip of your longest finger down to your wrist easily,
Easy.
if not bigger. And these things were crawling around on the ground at night.
Hmm.
And so I remember, and I have done it since then, but I particularly remember this night because I thought I just want to go for a wander around, and I deliberately took my shoes and socks off and just walked around, and all the boulders had moss on them, and I just walked around and walked down the dirt path and skipped across some boulders, and I had a head torch, so I was able to watch little frogs jumping around, but sometimes I'd turn it off and just listen for a minute, and it was really a heightened sense of seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, like everything. It was really cool. I recommend that. Maybe just be careful when there are giant crayfish walking around. You get your shoes off. I did think of that later on. I thought, wow, I'm glad one of those didn't get a hold of me.
Yeah, nice.
Oh, this is a perfect segue. Things cruising around in the bush, Craig.
Yeah.
I do not know how I stumbled across this. I think that YouTube got the algorithm right for me. The title of the video is Pennsylvania Man, and I still include this in news because I don't think it's quite worthy of going into my other segment that shall remain nameless for now. Pennsylvania man captures all walks of life crossing log bridge. This guy went and set up a trail cam at this log that went across this little stream. Obviously the log has fallen down, the tree's fallen down over the stream, and it's become a little bit of a highway, for obvious reasons, for a lot of small animals to get across there. But he leaves it there, or at least he goes back and checks it and gets data off it, and it's out there for a whole year, so it goes through all the seasons. And the video doesn't go for a year, just to be clear. It's just
good.
a few minutes, thankfully. But the wildlife is fantastic.
Yeah.
It is the coolest video. I could not wait to see what was going to pop up next. Not just what was going to pop up next, but what it was going to do, because the the things these animals were doing when they didn't know they were on camera was just so cool, really cool. And and the weather changed. Obviously, there was sometimes the log was submerged, and you'd see the animals come halfway across it and go, "Oh, geez, how am I going to get across this?" And there's a fantastic clip of a little squirrel jumping across it. They are so unbelievably fast, Craig. Unbelievably fast. I didn't even think this thing. I think it actually hit the water and bounced off the water. It was that quick.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's really cool. There's massive black bears crossing it. There's a bobcat.
Really?
Seems to be the same one that pops up quite a few times. And someone made a funny comment in the YouTube comments. Actually, someone said, because you see a black bear quite often, and she says, "That's just the same black bear going back and forth to work every day."
The commute.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Oh, well, that's
But
cool, man.
there is it's really good. And there is actually, there's one bit where this black bear goes across and you think, oh yeah, that's cool. And you can see it going through the long grass on the other side. And you think, oh, okay, I wonder why these left this video. Then all of a sudden this face turns around into the camera, and these jaws, like this another bear is following it and
right.
has sensed the camera. When I say sensed, I mean probably smelt human on it or something, and it's had a look at the camera, and it didn't look all that happy. I think it was a bit it's kind of lucky that the camera didn't get ripped off the tree, to be honest, because they're quite inquisitive.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was cool. That's a cool video.
I think someone's told me about these awesome trail cam videos. I haven't really seen much, but that sounds right up my alley, dude, because
this is a good one. This is a good starter video, I reckon. So it only goes for about 5 minutes, and it's packed.
Oh man, I'm glad you're going to pop that up. That's awesome.
Oh, which brings me to my backtrack. When we went down, and I took the kids down to the nature reserve down the end here, we were sitting there having a snack, sitting on a couple of logs having a snack. We looked back down the path, and there was a dingo just standing there looking at us, probably 20 meters away.
Really?
Just standing there, dead silent, ears pricked up, just staring at us. And my kids kind of went, "Oh, what do we do, Dad?" I think they were concerned it was making a move on us. And I just said to them, "Well, just stay there." So I mean, I had coincidentally grabbed a pretty big stick for the walk anyway, so I was not worried about it at all. It was if anybody's not familiar with dingoes, I'm definitely not going to sit here and try and say that it's like a wolf or anything like that. It's more like a coyote or a coyote, as you may say in your homeland. Yeah, quite small, pretty scrawny. They're definitely not a solid dog, but nonetheless, it was absolutely fantastic to see. So we sat there and just were really quiet and watched it. And over the period of 20 minutes while we were taking our break, it did almost a full 180-degree circle around us. And at all times, it was only really ever 20 to 30 meters away. And then it was just, the strange thing about it, Craig, is it had so many dog traits that we're familiar with from having domesticated dogs. And it was just the way it moved and the way it looked at us. Every now and then I thought this thing looked so excited that it wanted to come and for me to throw a stick for it. You know what I'm saying? It was so inquisitive.
It didn't have a collar, did it, Tom?
No, yeah, it was poodle.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no,
Was it
it was
like, because
fascinating.
you know that in Australia they say there's only one place where you can get the real authentic ones is on Fraser Island, right? That's
Yeah,
where
because they're untouched by
other
domestic
dogs,
dogs,
so
lions. Yeah, no, this thing, mate, was
pretty authentic.
it was so authentic. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It was. I know my dingoes pretty well, and this thing was postcard dingo. Like it would have fitted in
Yeah.
on with the Fraser crew. It was
Yeah,
pure,
cool.
and
Wow.
yeah, it was incredible. Jumped up on a log, walked along this log, sat there watching us. Jumped back down, walked a bit further, sat down behind this stump, just peeking over it.
So you mean on
Then
that
it walked
nature reserve near your place where you walk that not
where
not
I go
yeah.
trail running.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
yeah,
Not right
yeah.
up at the
Literally,
Sheep Creek, not right up there, the Sheep Station.
Sheep Station Creek.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
at the
through
end.
there. Yeah, right.
Yeah, at
And
the end of my street. Yeah,
was there any others there, or just on its own?
just one. No,
Yeah.
it's just by itself. I did kind of keep an eye out to see if there was a pack sort of
Yeah.
off in the distance, but no, it was definitely flying solo.
Wow.
But it was extremely inquisitive, and
Hmm.
yeah, it ended up laying down in the grass watching us from 20, 30 meters away.
Yeah, right.
And eventually it hopped up and kind of got bored and went on its way. But I honestly didn't know they were in this area. There's no way if anyone told me, I wouldn't have believed him. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty cool. I got a cool little video of it too on my phone.
Oh, really? Cool, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, lots of wild dogs out there, but that sounds like the real deal. Yeah.
yeah. No, this guy was it was beautiful actually. Good to see.
Hmm.
All right, man. Gear talk.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What
I've only got one thing.
What do
It
you like?
takes a bit. Well, it takes a bit to get me excited about gear these days because, in my opinion, there's a lot of gimmicky hiking stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, there's just a lot of things that you don't really need. So people are trying to invent new stuff, or they're trying to reinvent the wheel. There's things that exist that are already perfectly good, and I don't mind people having a crack at improving something. But anyway, that's my rant. I'm going to stop. So this is something again we've already seen before. But have you ever heard of K-Bar? They make pretty kick-ass knives.
Right. Yep. Okay.
Yeah, almost like tactile sort of stuff, I guess.
Yep.
So K-Bar have made a tactical spork.
Oh, if they.
It's something that if you were if you're a police officer and you're interviewing Jason Bourne,
Yep.
it's
Yep.
the last thing that you would want on the table in between the two of you would be
Really?
this K-Bar tactical sport. Absolutely.
Can you strap it to your ankle, man, or what?
Oh, mate, it is a beast.
Oh, yeah.
It's the knife is screwed into the handle of the fork, or the spork rather. So if you're just eating dehydrated food or whatever, it's just quite a long-handled, thick-handled too, spork, and it's relatively lightweight. It's made of some high-density polymer, plastic or whatever. I'm no expert in plastics, but I watched a few reviews on it, and it's pretty it's tough stuff, and it's got a cool little grip and everything. So it's a really good spork. Then if you did ever need to cut something, it's got a serrated knife, so you unscrew half of this thing and you end up with a mini knife. And the knife is only short, but it's brutal. It looks, like I said, somebody could take somebody out with it.
Really?
And what's even cooler is when it's all screwed together, even that in itself would be a pretty lethal kind of weapon. So I thought, that's not bad. I mean, I carry knives anyway. Doesn't matter, but it's not a bad thing to be kind of sitting there eating your meal and knowing that at any second you can launch into into a choreographed martial arts attack with your spork and,
That's that's perfect for you,
poke,
mate.
poke someone into the temple or something.
Oh yeah, I'm glad you brought that, man. That's perfect for you, I reckon. Yep, totally.
Oh, I haven't bought it. No, I will buy it though,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I'll bring it along. And it's so funny. I'll have to take some photos. Yeah, I think that's something I'll purchase. And I just completely contradicted myself by saying I don't like things that are a gimmick and reinventing the wheel, and that's exactly what this thing is. All of those
Sounds a bit like it,
but yeah, I'm not going to say it's a gimmick. This is a weapon. I'm buying a weapon that doubles as my eating utensils.
oh wow.
What's the thing is, two is one and one is none. Got to be able to do more than two things for me these days.
Oh,
And yeah, this is good.
hey Tom,
Uh,
can
yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
can I tell you what I'm lining up for and about to click on? And I just thought I'd run a couple of questions past you as well, and
Yeah, some
maybe
kind of a skirt or something.
a kilt. No, it's not.
Okay.
Speaking of cooking outdoors, right? Um, I was wondering what your thoughts are on the Bush Buddy, which is a small stove that you sort of stock up with just tinder that you find, and you're able to just
I don't know what that particular brand is. Let me just Google it.
Google it.
For you guys, we normally, obviously Craig and I are usually in the. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, I see it.
Yeah,
Craig and I are usually in the studio together, so we do quite often show each other stuff on the screen,
yeah.
which makes life easier. But right now,
See,
I'm
I
just
think
looking at this.
Damo's got something like this, and then I don't think you do have something like this, but
No.
I got two questions. Like, with Australian national parks, you can't have a naked flame. Is that right? Or you can't have a fire? But
Well, I mean, our stoves are technically a naked flame, but uh, when you start using stuff, and if I'm going to just explain it to the listeners, it's a little sort of is it titanium or stone? It looks like titanium.
yeah,
If anyone's seen that what's that called? That bio stove? I think it's
oh,
called
yep,
bio stove.
yep,
The one that can actually charge your mobile phone while you're putting little twigs in it and stuff.
yep.
It's similar to that in some ways. A little
It's a little,
canister, and you feed
yeah.
sticks into it, I'm assuming.
It's really lightweight. It's lighter than what we carry for a stove, and you can
Yeah,
feed it with little twigs and stuff. But it does take a lot longer to bring a boil,
yeah.
and then there's the risk of some environmental impact, plus potentially speaking of bushfires. Is it something that we're allowed to use in Australia? And what about when there is a fire ban? I think you can still use your stoves, but what about this thing? Do you know?
Yeah, this would definitely be out. If
Out.
there's a fire ban, definitely out.
Yeah,
Is
right.
this a legitimate thing? What's worse about this is you got to think about when you finish using your stove and you let it cool down, you fold it up and put it away. Sorry, I'm talking about a traditional gas stove. With this, you're going to have that canister's going to have some embers still in it.
Mm.
So there's a little bit more cleanup and a little bit more
Yeah.
care
Yeah.
to be taken. And you think about some of the places we go. Well, for starters, and I know I'm being overly picky here, but as we know, you're not meant to. All the sticks and everything on the ground are eventually going to end up as mulch and leaf litter and stuff for plants. So you're kind of taking that away, and as I said, you're only using a tiny amount, but it depends how strict you want to be. And the other thing is, I've heard really horror stories of, say for example, you buried the embers and you poured water on them and you thought they were done. I've heard horror stories of that. Is it called the perma layer or something? It's basically the layer underneath the leaf litter, and it kind of, you think it's dirt, but what it is actually a really high quality decomposed leaf litter, and it has that really clean soil feel. And the worst thing that can happen in rainforests is when that actually gets heat into it and catches fire underneath the rainforest floor, and it can travel sideways.
All right.
It doesn't. I mean, it doesn't turn into a bushfire because it's a rainforest. But what it does is it kills everything underground.
Oh, true.
So yeah, I don't mean to crap on your idea.
I thought there'd be some issues with it. It's a novel way to do it. I really think it would be fun to kind of be able to have like
That'd
this
be
little
fun.
fire
It'd be
you've got
totally
to
fun.
tend to, and a bit of skill involved, which
Yeah.
I'm limited with skill, but it would be something to work on. And I think I'm going to get one. And apparently this Bush Buddy's the one to get, but I could be wrong on that. So if anyone else wants to comment and say, yeah, that's the one to get or not, but
Yeah.
yeah, I'd love to have a go at it, but I just think it's going to have issues with when we can use it.
Oh, absolutely. If you wanted to get down to the really technical, that I don't even think that would be allowed in a national park in Australia.
Yeah, I think I should.
Because it's not a gas canister.
Yeah.
It's definitely not. I mean, you think about the times, and I agree. An open fire is the funnest thing in the world.
Yeah.
There's nothing better than sitting around here and it crackling, and even little twigs in there would be fun.
Yeah.
When I think about the times when we've been getting smashed by storms, weather we didn't expect, rain we didn't expect, and we just make it through by getting a hot drink on the boil quickly, getting that hot water into our dehydrated meal. And then sometimes, I mean, I've even put that dehydrated meal pack back into my jacket to keep me warm while we're waiting.
Yeah.
So I think you're kind of taking away that not the simplicity, but the speed at which you can get water to the boil and then get it in your belly.
Yeah, the crux trumps it all the time, man. It's just the way to go for what we want. But yeah, it's just a different way to do it, for sure.
No, it's fun. I'd have something like that I'd, if I went out to a private property, something like that would be really fun to take.
Yeah, for sure.
Where you don't have those restrictions.
All right, that's all I had on my list, man.
Oh, it's interesting, man. You'll have to let me just put that in my notes here to include that some info on that in the show notes if anyone wants to check it out.
Yeah, and if I get one, we'll get one. I'm gonna get one, so we'll have a test of it, dude.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to jump into shout outs now. Yes, that is exactly what I'm going to do. Where to start though? Where to start? So much going on. Something I did miss a little earlier. I did want to say it. I did want to mention it earlier when I kind of introduced the show. But do you remember a couple of episodes in a row, the listeners will remember, we promoted, it was a sponsor for two shows, in particular, tripoutside.com.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, they have started a Kickstarter to build an app for their business. Bear with me here. So they sent me a message on Instagram, and we were just chatting over that, and she was telling me about this app that they're going to build for their business. This is not a sponsored ad. I am telling you right now. This is just. I'll get to the story. Now, they've been doing this thing, and I thought, I'll just check how it's going, because they'd be more than happy to just mention it on here, just to let you guys know that there is a Kickstarter going for that. When I went on to check how it was doing, I checked in the updates. If you're not familiar with Kickstarter, the people that have raised the Kickstarter generally put regular updates in there. Now, Julie and Reet are the owners of this company, and I've kind of through email back and forth, we've become got to know each other a bit, become pretty friendly through working together and collaborating. And I thought I would just check what was happening with the Kickstarter, as I said. And when I jumped on this update, they are actually stuck in India under complete lockdown. Food is being delivered and nobody's allowed to leave their houses there.
Really?
So, yeah, they basically go on to say they just wanted to let you know that they are safe and they hope everyone else is safe. But the reason I wanted to bring it up is I just wanted to send our regards to them, and I just wanted to say hi to those guys. I'm sure that they've got nothing better to do than listen to us, which is good. We've really got this audience cornered at the moment.
Captive.
I said I didn't want to make light of this, but you know me, you got to take it easy sometimes.
Wow.
So yeah, guys, I hope you guys are safe over there and continue to stay safe. And you can just move on with things once everything simmers down.
Jeez.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, that sounds pretty serious. All the international borders are just going to have big troubles for a long time, eh?
Exactly right. Yeah. So I'll put the link up to their Kickstarter anyway, because it's quite interesting, and I think I'm pretty sure it's still running. But
I hope they're okay.
Yeah, guys, we send our regards. Look after yourselves over there. All right, I'm counting that as a shout out anyway. All right, Craig, you better be ready for this. I got some good stuff coming. I guess because it's been so long, we've had a lot coming in. Just going to jump onto my phone. Oh, I don't have his real name. There is a guy from Belfast, Northern Ireland, and his handle, so his name on Podbean, where we host our podcast, is AJH91, and he just sent a message straight up a month ago saying, "Men, when are you returning?" And I actually, at the time, I said we're actually meant to be recording in the next week or within the next fortnight. And then, he said, see, I didn't know he was from Belfast. And then he wrote back and said, "Awesome news, loving your work in Belfast." So then I had to write back to him a week ago and just say, "Hey, things have got a bit crazy, so we don't know when we're doing it." But again, I apologize to everybody for the delay. But I will also say thanks again to these people that have gone out of their way to check on us. Mm-hmm. I'm just waiting for my phone. While I wait for my phone to load, here's a really good one. This is from Robin. Robin sent me an email that is so cool, and it really did make me smile. And I just love hearing, how far and wide this podcast goes. Robin and her partner and her 2-year-old son moved from Belgium to Sweden, and they took over a little hotel in the countryside. And she said that she came across our podcast last summer and looking for good podcast to keep me entertained while I'm cleaning the rooms. She said, and then she says, "And I regularly died of laughter. Passing guests would look quite weirdly at me when I was in tears." Pretty hilarious. So, thanks so much for sending that. I really did laugh when I read that email, and I haven't responded yet. I apologize, Robin. I was actually going to write back because the next comment that Robin made was, she says, "Anyway, as you both have kids and you've taken them outdoors on many occasions, I was thinking it would be nice to hear more about your experiences on that matter." So I'll tell you the truth, Robin. We were actually, our first episode back a few weeks ago, when we had first planned to do it, was literally I was going to surprise Robin and say, hey, we've come up with the goods. You've asked for it. We've done it. And we had planned to do our first episode back as a hiking with kids episode.
That's true.
Yeah, 100%. So what we've done, because of everything that's going on, and we knew we'd have a lot to cover and catch up on, we've decided to postpone that topic, probably until the next episode, or at least in the next couple, so that we could just really focus on catching up with all of you guys on this episode and letting you know where everything stands and that we haven't permanently disappeared on you. So, Robin, again, thanks so much. I love it when people go back to good old-fashioned emails and tell us their stories. It's really cool. Glad you're enjoying it. You know what she's probably laughing at?
She's encouraging you, man. I don't know about that.
She's encouraging. I know. You don't like it when people do that. You know what I reckon she'd be laughing at? She'd be laughing when I try and speak Swedish
Oh, yeah, true.
on some of the episodes. That's what she'd be laughing at. She didn't actually say that. All of a sudden, I'm not sure about this Robin. I'm thinking that she's laughing. She's in tears because of how bad my Swedish is.
Yeah.
And she's just too polite in her email to say it.
Yeah, because your Swedish sounds fine to me, but
oh, hey,
I don't
we had
speak
our Swedish friend on, our guest Thomas, and he thought I sounded fantastic.
That's it.
Again, I think he was too kind, that guy.
That's it.
A little closer to home, we covered an article many months ago about. Do you remember, Craig, when in the news I mentioned the lighthouse to lighthouse walk?
Yeah.
And just to refresh your memory, they were talking about making it a more expensive walk with huts, and then basically that would limit access to the normal hiker like us. Well, Mark, a guy called Mark, sent an email. He definitely, he says g'day to us on Instagram quite often. He's great. He's a bit closer to home, so he's in New South Wales, I believe, or Victoria. I always get these things wrong, and then I look at them later and made a fool of myself, but I don't care anymore. I just don't care. Anyway, Mark's from a part of Australia, and he sent me a huge email, really cool, told me about some other place that he's visited, or he's seen a similar issue occurring in the Alpine National Park. And yeah, we ended up getting in a kind of back and forth email chat about our thoughts on that one. And he also said that he was heard us talking about Bo Miles. You remember Bo? I think it was the last episode, perhaps.
Yeah.
Yep. And he said there's another good Aussie YouTuber called Scotty's Gone Walkabouts.
Sorry, yeah, I'm with you now. Yep. And then Scotty's Gone Walkabouts, eh?
Yeah. Have you seen his stuff?
No.
Yeah, I'm sure I should have checked again. I'm sure I've seen it before, and it's pretty good. So
okay.
He recommended that. And again, I love it when people are kind of taking the time to start up a conversation and give us recommendations, because we certainly don't sit here pretending that we know everything.
Yeah, that's good.
What I like about Mark as well is I think his username's hiking for HHH, and that's for health, habitat, and humanity. Good on you, Mark.
Very good.
Thanks heaps for your message, mate.
Excellent.
Oh, I've got a really good one, Craig, but I'm saving that. Saving it. You're not getting that one yet.
Righto.
Let me just quickly check what's happened here. Oh, our usual suspects have been checking in.
Mm-hmm.
People like Joe Aker. He sent us he sent us a message on the 4th January saying sorry to hear about all the wildfires, and hopes that we're safe and our families safe. And again, it's amazing that people are reaching out to us. So much appreciated. And then he was one of the recipients of the Caribbean hat giveaway that I did.
Oh, yep.
And then he sent us a picture of him at the beach with his hat on.
Cool.
Still rocking it, which is pretty cool. Then we got another. And who else? Yeah, Sean as well, mate. Thanks so much for your message on Facebook in our inbox as well. Again, Sean was checking up on us. He's one of our long-time listeners. But we got one here who is, well, she's been a listener for a while, I think, but never actually made contact with us. But again, in January, she sent us I don't know how you pronounce it, whether it be, I think it's Dana, Dana, Dana or Dana, probably Dana.
Yeah.
She sent us a message straight up and just said, "Are you guys all right? Much love from Vermont."
Oh.
And I just thought, that's so nice. Unbelievably kind. I sent a big message back saying thanks so much and we're good. And we got into a big conversation there about where she works and all sort of stuff she does. And she sent me a little article on it and everything. But she said, I'm sure she made a comment somewhere about, your podcasts are just the best thing, living in the woods. So, yeah, awesome. Thanks so much for sending us that message. Now I'm going to get to, I'll just quickly check somewhere else. Hey, you having a good time, Craig? I'm not boring you too much.
Mate, I'm living the dream right here. It's all good. Thanks, mate.
Oh, you good? How many drinks in are you tonight?
I had 2 beers. That's all right.
I can't keep an eye on you when I'm not there. It's dangerous.
Yeah, you said switch the camera off, so that's really.
I did too.
That's really good.
Looking at it if I don't have to. Okay, Craig, this one's great. Have you got any oven mitts handy, or an apron, or some fire retardant clothing?
No.
Well, that's a shame. Because you're just about to get roasted.
What?
I love this so much. This is the best. It's great. Everybody listening, if you can direct your roastings to Craig, this just makes life so much easier for me. I really do appreciate it. And Craig appreciates it as well. He doesn't say it, but he just really loves it. He loves getting called out. Do you remember the name Ginger, Craig?
Oh, yeah. Did she hear that?
Yeah, she heard it. When you said it on the podcast that goes out to thousands of people, she heard it. Yeah. So, just to backtrack a bit, on a few episodes ago, Craig said, and I quote, something like, what did you say? You said something
I
like,
didn't say anything. I didn't say anything.
You said something like, of course I would slow down on the trail for old people.
I didn't say that.
You did so. Dude, you can't even argue because people can just go back to the episode and listen to it.
I think in fact it was along the lines of me working with people, and I since said retired.
The first time was when you were talking about trail running at that trail, and you were asking me about trail etiquette. That's when you got yourself into trouble the first time.
Yeah, it's possible. It's likely.
And you said, "Oh yeah, of course I'd slow down for old people."
I did grandmas. Not.
You did so.
Yeah.
And then anyway,
what did
she roasted? She already roasted you, don't you remember? She already told you.
Oh, and that's why she wrote in. Yeah, for sure. Okay.
Yeah, that's why she wrote in the first time.
Yeah.
Ginger wrote me another email after you put your foot in it again in the last episode.
All right. All right. I'm ready. I'm
And
ready.
the last episode was, you're correct. The last episode was when you said, "Oh yeah, I work with old people," and yep, she heard that as well, mate. She heard that as well. So here we go, Craig. Let me read a few of the lines out from her email.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hang on, I gotta stop laughing. It's too good.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
It
Good.
is.
It's not
So,
good.
what I like about it, she's giving me credit here. This is great. Thanks, Ginger. One of my favorite people to write in. Hi, Tom. I did listen to the podcast while my boyfriend and I were driving to Kansas. I think that's simply how you say it. After Christmas, to hike to the high point of the state. Just some more about this, Grandma Craig, in brackets. We're on the quest to get all the state's highest points. I've done 26 now, but I doubt I will get Denali. So, yeah, Craig, have you done 26 of the highest points? You haven't done that? Oh, okay, because this grandma has. Anyway, I'll move on. She says to me, not you, I loved how you handled the email. Glad.
Can we stop?
Glad you liked the skater story. Do you remember the story about the ice skater? That was fantastic. Go back and listen to that. I'm not going to tell it again. And she says really, really cool stuff in her email. I'm not going to spoil all of the email because it was written to me, but she really thinks about what she says. Anyway, let's get to the good bits. But Craig definitely was in hot water and tried to escape. However, I understand what he was saying,
Good.
and it is so true.
Good.
Yeah, pretty funny. And anyway, she goes on. She brings it up again. Don't you worry. She makes some really good points there, and she can't wait till her granddaughters are old enough to put little small backpacks on and hike with her.
Yeah.
And then she can teach them to carry grandma's water bottle.
Man. No, I actually,
cool.
did get in some hot water there, Ginger, and I felt pretty bad when I had to listen back to that too. And I'd actually repressed it since.
Okay. Well, don't apologize yet, mate. She hasn't finished.
Oh, no.
She says, so, and this is verbatim. I'm not ad-libbing this. I'm reading this word for word right now from it. So tell Craig to watch the foot in his mouth, even though he tried to pull it out. But those are my thoughts on the subject. She does go on to say, I hope you all, and I think that does include you, I hope you all had wonderful holiday, and we're saying prayers for the end of the horrible fires you're dealing with. Thank you, Ginger. I love it. Ginger's like the most real person that writes in. She sees straight through your facade, Craig.
she's got me pegged, that's for sure, man.
Oh man, she's great. Thanks, Ginger. Wow, that's so cool. All right.
That's awful.
Well,
that's awful, Tom. Thanks, man. I felt bad enough.
Yeah, that's okay. Let me say this, and honestly know that it's true. It's my absolute pleasure.
Good.
That was great. You know, the worst part about that is I've been saving that for months, man, because we keep saying we're going to, and I haven't been able to tell you about it. I wanted to grill you 2 months ago, and I wanted to ring you straight away and say, hey, Craig, let me read this email to you. And I thought, no. You get a hold of yourself, Tom. This is a slow burn joke, and you need to say this one on air.
I'm glad it went so well for you, Tom. I'm really happy for you.
Thanks, man. Yeah, no, really, I'm happy for myself, so appreciate it.
All right, let's move on.
Keep coming, people.
Let's move on.
You got time to write emails. You're sitting at home. Write them. Tell us. It's a new segment. What did Craig
No.
say wrong? It's a new segment. Write to me. Tell me what he said wrong.
I can see
Hey, Craig.
I can see the waveforms on the screen, man. I say a lot less than you, and somehow I still manage to stuff it up. Is that right? Is that right? Is that right?
It's 100% true. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna say that I don't talk more than you.
Oh, jeez.
I just don't do that. I just don't do what you do.
All right. All right.
Hey, I just sent you a link in the chat that we're in.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, click on that. Watch it for a few seconds. I want to hear your feedback.
Oh, hang on.
This is while you get this ready. This is Matterhorn, 4,478 meter solo 1-day trip that this guy Dominic Socha does, and it's a fantastic video. Goes for 43 minutes, and you got time to watch it now. Check it out. I'll put the links in the show notes. He climbs this crazy mountain called the Matterhorn. Craig, have you got that link up yet? You got that video up?
Yeah, I think you'll hear it. Should we be playing it or not?
Yeah. I don't think it matters. Yeah, it'll be fine. But it's not so much what he says there, but it's just the bit that I've selected for you.
Yeah.
A few seconds in.
That's wild. Whoa!
Yes.
That's a scary outlook.
Oh yeah, so we're about halfway in, around the 19-minute mark on this video, and I specifically sent that bit to Craig because he doesn't like heights, and he walks along the spine of this.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Oh Jesus! That's scary stuff.
How's that for a solo trip though?
I'm gonna stop that now. That's
day
too
trip.
much. Wow.
He bumps it later on. He bumps into two climbers roped up and chained up. Fully roped up to the wall. He bumps into these other climbers, and they've gone, oh, you don't even, you're just cruising around. So yeah, full respect to you, Dominique. Very impressed, mate. Very impressed. It makes for good footage, that's for sure.
Yeah, he's got no fear, that's for sure.
No, he certainly does not. That's a good one. Have you ever heard of the Red Bull X Alps competition?
Not sure.
I'll take that as a no. It's really weird. It's these guys are kind of, they call them adventure athletes, but I don't think it describes it very well. They're kind of like, they're all paragliders. Okay, you know those the ones that you kind of sit in, float around. Yep. They're all paragliders, but they're also all kind of trail runners as well. So this race has only 32 competitors, which is understandable when you think that you need to be both an elite kind of trail runner or hiker and also an extremely experienced paraglider. They race from Salzburg to Monaco, and when you look at that on a map, it's about 860 kilometers, 534 miles between those 2 points. It's a 9-hour drive and it's a 4-hour flight, and these guys race that over a couple of days. But what they do, what makes it really, and the whole race is on Red Bull YouTube channel. I've watched it, and what's really weird about it is they'll have a checkpoint, and then they'll take off. They got their packs on that obviously contain all of their gear, but they have to make educated decisions throughout the race of where is the best place to just hike through and try and make some distance, or if it's worth trying to spend time trying to get to the top of a ridge where they can actually launch and make some distance. But then there's the added kind of complexity of, well, there's no point spending a half a day getting to the top of a ridge if it doesn't give you enough elevation to kind of get any further than you would have on foot, if you know what I mean.
Yep.
So it's really complex. Those are way beyond my knowledge, but it was really interesting to watch. These guys are just beasts, real super fit, running around with these packs on, and then they'll just rig up and jump off the edge of this, not so much a cliff, but like jump into a massive valley and then try and milk as much out. And where it starts to get tricky is they won't get enough height at the start because they're trying to rush because they're racing. So they won't get enough height in the thermals, and then they'll try and make distance, but they won't make as much distance. They'll fall short, but then the guy who spent an extra half an hour or an hour getting extra height overtakes them because he can fly further. So it's really quite fascinating, possibly one of the weirdest sports I've ever watched.
Jeez.
Apart from that ridiculous winter sport where people ski around and shoot targets. What's that? Have you seen that?
Yeah.
What's that called? I don't even know. It's got a weird name. But yeah, that's another ridiculous sport.
No, I've never heard of that. That's a bit, next level. Jeez.
Yeah, it's real weird. It's real weird, but it's entertaining. That's what we're looking for. And the scenery too. When you got to consider these guys are going through magnificent mountains, and obviously there's a lot of fantastic aerial footage as well. So that's worth checking out. Another YouTube video for you called Runner vs. Base Jumper. We've talked a lot about Kilian Jornet on the podcast before. He's an elite trail runner. He's won that Skyrunner series multiple times. He's a complete freak. So what he's done is they've started at the bottom of this mountain, and then on each side of the mountain, I believe, and then they've raced to the top and back down. But one guy's a base jumper with a wingsuit, but he's not, he's not Kilian Jornet, so he's not a experienced mountain runner, but he's real fit. And so these two take off down the bottom of this mountain, and basically Kilian's trying to make as much ground as possible because he knows that once he reaches the summit and turns around and comes back down, he needs to be so far ahead of this, so far ahead of the base jumper, right? So the only way he can win is by getting up so ridiculously quick to get back down. Let me just, normally this is, so let me just say that Tom Eric Hyman is the base jumper, and the name of the mountain is in Norway that they raced up and down, called Romsdalsjorn, something like that. All the Norwegians listening will laugh their heads off at my pronunciation. And there's a little footnote. When I was looking on Wikipedia, there was a little footnote that said descent by rappel is recommended. So Kilian runs up and down this thing just in a pair of shoes with a water bladder on his back.
Crazy. Sorry.
Absolutely crazy. And then let me give you some stats here. Kilian's top speed was 18.3 kilometers an hour, 11.3 miles. Not bad. That was obviously on the way down. And Tom's top speed was 250 kilometers an hour, 155 miles per hour. So you can imagine how much lead Kilian would need, because once that guy jumps off, gets his kit on and jumps off, he's 155 miles per hour past him. I'm not going to tell you who won that. You have to go watch it yourself. It's a pretty entertaining little video. It only goes for about 10 minutes or so. Whoa, we've lost Craig. I'm going to keep going, though. He doesn't listen to me anyway.
No, it's all right. I'm back.
There's a channel I discovered called, it's Cimbra Bushcraft, Cimber Bushcraft. He's a guy from Denmark, and he just cruises out into the most pristine forest and hangs out and just takes it easy. And the reason I really wanted to include this is because it's a fantastic, quiet kind of, these guys, Craig, that get out there and they're not taking you out there to do running commentary on every single thing they do, like we do. They just go out and they just film, get some beautiful cinematography. They light a fire and they just chill out there. And I just thought, given the current status of a lot of people not being able to get to their favorite spots, possibly at all, I think that you should definitely check out his video called Green Forest. And basically, I don't know, just put it on the big screen, turn the volume up, you'll hear birds chirping, all sorts of stuff. And just watch his absolutely gorgeous footage of him chilling out by the fire.
It's like you're there.
Yeah, really. And so peaceful as well. And the tagline is, "Wonderful day hike in amazing open green forest, making pancakes, coffee, and repairing my trousers." Spoiler alert, he does every one of those things.
Really?
In the video. Yeah, he just sits there. He's got kind of like those oilskin pants, and they've got a big tear in them. And he pulls out his sewing kit and he just sews them up. He does make his pancakes. He makes his coffee. And Craig, there's a little, I'm going to send you this link as well. It's a bit especially for you. Let me just find it. Sorry. It's going to take a minute. You'll love this. Okay. Sorry, guys. It's the beauty of us working remotely. Craig, pull up this video. It's set to start exactly where I want it to.
Oh, yeah.
For you.
It's coming up, so we'll all be able to hear it. You want me to press play?
Yeah, that's fine. Just press play on it. Tell me when you start it.
Here it goes.
Yeah.
Looks good.
Well, talk us through it. What's he doing? He's doing up that little pouch.
So do you know why some older men walk like this?
And we got an ad. 2 more
Okay,
seconds.
before I tell you, I want to
that.
ask you something.
Yep.
When was
that? Here it comes.
Did tell me where you're at.
Okay, he's got a little pouch and he's
He's
got
wrapping it up.
his kettle. He's got his cup,
kettle,
timber cup. Yep.
little
Pouring
cookser.
himself a nice coffee. Mate, that looks good.
Just brewed a coffee.
And a bit of whiskey.
Hey.
Hey.
Oh.
Is that what you thought I'd like? I do like. I like.
Oh, I laughed my head off when I saw it.
A little bit of whiskey in the coffee, eh?
And he gives a wink straight to camera.
Yeah, he does too.
What a cracker.
Now he's having his pipe, yeah.
Sitting there smoking his pipe. What a legend, eh?
Ah, you can hear the
Anyway,
bush so well. It's good.
Yeah, there's 30 minutes of that pristine wilderness. And the good thing is that Cimbra Bushcraft has heaps of videos like that. So once you get your teeth into this one, you can just go to his channel and keep watching and watching if you feel a need.
Mate, I'm going to keep watching now. Is that okay?
Yeah, well, you're not interested in anything I say.
Oh, those sounds. See, that's why I've been disappointed that we couldn't go out tonight and sort of
get some of that
get amongst it.
background noise.
Yeah.
Hey, I just realised I went straight into that Matterhorn video without announcing this is Tom's Magical Mystery Media Mashup.
Oh yeah.
I'm out of touch.
Yeah.
I'm totally out of touch.
Getting rusty.
Hey, I'll tell you what I have done. I've read 3 books since we last spoke.
Jeez, well done.
On air. I'm into my 4th as well, but I'll talk about that another time. So the first one I just wanted to mention, this is a bit of a strange one because it's not related to hiking or the outdoors, but I still think that in my head I kind of picture a lot of the people that listen to this podcast, and I think that they have an appreciation for a broader scope of reading than just, like, it doesn't just have to be about hiking all the time, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure that some of them already read it. It's a book called Zen in the Art of Archery. It's taglines, Training the Mind and Body to Become One, and it's written by a guy called Eugene Herrigel. This book was written in 1953, and the author was living in Japan, and him and his wife at the time decided that they wanted to learn a little bit about Zen. Now, the interesting thing about Japan and Zen, I lived there myself for quite some time, and they actually consider things like archery to be an art form rather than just a pastime. Things like calligraphy is an art form that you can actually essentially get a black belt in calligraphy. To put it that way. The same thing with flower arranging. You can actually become a master of flower arranging. So they take these things quite seriously. Tea ceremonies, that sort of stuff, they take them quite seriously, and they follow a very strict patterns and routines. They do the same thing with archery. I had the pleasure of twice witnessing Japanese archery when I lived there. One time in particular was in the middle of this temple, and just by chance we happened to be walking past this old cemetery and checking out all of the gravestones, and then we noticed these guys in this outdoor training area, and we went and snuck a peek, and sure enough they were shooting their bows. It was fantastic, like just completely silent. They're just in their own little worlds. But the reason I think that it's still a valid book to mention is just because of I think there's the philosophy and the way that they approach things, and it definitely comes through in this book. It's a really short read. It's definitely worth reading. It's the sort of book that I would shove in my pack and take out on a hike and sit on a mountaintop or something and read it, because I think that's the perfect environment to really absorb this. When you read it, you can imagine where movies like Karate Kid have stolen ideas from, because there's parts of this that are, extremely kind of, they read like a movie script, but this is his take on the 5 years that he spent training with this master. It's pretty cool. Like it's deep. I'm not saying it's an easy read, but it definitely gets you thinking. If you like any of that sort of stuff, I'd put that as a slightly weird one to throw in your pack and take out.
Doesn't sound like it's got any pictures, man.
It's got 0 pictures. Yeah. The cover's got a picture. That's it.
Probably go over my head.
It's a short one though for you, Craig. You'd get through it.
No, that sounds good.
Here's an interesting one, and I am a fan of Stephen Ranella. He's an outdoor author. I think this is the 4th or 5th book of his that I read.
This one is called The Scavenger's Guide to Haute Cuisine. And it's how I spent a year in the American wild to recreate a feast from the classic recipes of French master chef Escoffier. This book was not what I expected at all. I thought it was actually going to be a more of a cookbook, and he most certainly does go into a lot of the preparation and the cooking of wild game. But at the same time, he takes you on an amazing journey through. He basically spends a year going and getting all of this wild game that fits into the recipes of this French chef. Now, this French chef, Craig, just to put it in context, he was a very famous chef, and then I can't remember if it was World War I or World War II. Came to be, and he got recruited to cook for the troops. Now, what he would do, he would say to the troops, because they were low on rations or any kind of food, and they on the front lines they couldn't really carry or transport things. He'd say, well, just bring back anything, and I'll cook it. So just bring back anything. So these guys were coming back, leading goats into camp, geese, just any animals they could find.
Mm-hmm.
I apologize to people listening who don't partake in meat, but it was really quite interesting. They even one time they let a horse in to camp,
right?
And so this guy goes and finds a way to make everything absolutely amazing, and people would rave about his cooking. So what Stephen Ranella did was he quite literally he wanted to do over 3 nights, he wanted to do 50 courses and have his friends around and have a big massive event. And this book is the memoirs of finding, researching and collecting every single ingredient. But the stories, mate, it's not about the cooking or the food. It's just the absolute amazing way that he can put together paragraphs and just make them come to life. Things that I've never even heard of, and he'll just make them come to life. Listen to this bit. You're a fisherman. You'll like this bit.
Mm-hmm.
This is the way he kind of tells the story, and it just blows me away. When I'm reading stuff like this, I'm picturing it, I'm there, and I can get every detail. The halibut on the end of Danny's line first appeared as a distant white flash deep beneath the Dilligas, that's the name of their boat, an aluminium landing craft that brings to mind the assault boat featured in the movie Apocalypse Now. The fish was moving so fast through the water that it vanished beneath the hull as quickly as a spring-loaded window shade that's been pulled down and released. I'd been leaning out over the gunwale, watching carefully for the fish's emergence. In the days I spent up in Saltary Cove, Alaska, fishing with my brother Danny and his buddy Ron, I'd taken a great interest in the visual trickery of things rising from the depths of the ocean. Whether we were cranking up a shrimp trap or a fish on a line, I enjoyed the moment when the ascending object first came into view beneath the boat. It happened in a surprising, beautiful way, and I would catch myself holding my breath as I waited for that initial glimpse. That's poetry, dude.
Jeez, did Steve write that himself, Renell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is Steve's
I think
fifth book.
I've heard.
Actually, this is one of his. I think this is his first book of about 5.
Right, because I've heard about some of his books, and that's mainly just game foods that he cooks up.
But no. It's mainly just him. The pursuit of game. The one called American Bison or American Buffalo is he found a skull. His brother found a skull, and they ended up getting it
getting it carbon dated, and it was from so far back. It wasn't funny. And so then he goes out, chasing these bison through the landscape. But through that, like, that sounds like a pretty, maybe a simple story, but through that, he takes you on about 3 different journeys. He's talking to paleontologists, he's talking to scientists, and then he's out there researching himself, and then he's walking through the wilderness tracking bison. It's just pure. The storytelling is beautiful, and I hope I did that one justice. That's just one of many, many, many paragraphs that just kind of just capture my imagination. That's an absolute winner, guys.
Yeah.
Last but not least, this one here, those kind of, what are they called? What are those travelers guides called? The Lonely Planet.
Yep.
Lonely Planet guides have been around forever, and they're I guess they're very good at what they're meant to be. Excuse me. And that is, I guess, quite literally a guide to all of the places to go, population, customs, currencies, weather, all sorts of things. It's very data driven. And I do own 1 or 2 of them, but I never really seem to get much out of them, because I find that after a little while that it's just all sort of statistics and numbers, and it's not really telling me anything about the place. So I found this book called Nepal, True Stories of Life on the Road, and it's part of a Traveler's Tales Guides series. When I saw it, it was in the same section. It was secondhand. It cost me a whole $2. It's still got it written inside the cover. I'm looking at it now. It cost me $2, and it was in the same section as all of those kind of guides about, all different countries. And I remember looking at it, and I wasn't even going to pick it up. And I thought, I really do have a fascination with Nepal. I'd love to read a bit about it. And then when I picked this book up and started flicking through it, I realized, first of all, it's got no pictures, so it's useless for you. But second of all, it was a collection of heaps and heaps and heaps of short stories, but not any kind of, they're all true stories, but not any, it just wasn't that typical guide. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to grab this and check it out. Well, it didn't take me long. Literally, the first story totally had my attention, as did the next one and the next one and the next one and the next one. And what's beautiful about this book is it's written by so many different people, that you're getting this view of Nepal that you would never, ever, ever, ever get in any other kind of publication. And what I mean by that is one writer, for example, was something like a 61-year-old lady. Now, you don't know this when you start and you read the stories. You kind of find it, or you work it out during it, or you find out at the end. So it was a 61-year-old woman, and then another one was a young guy, and then another one was a kind of an engineer who worked over there. So every single person was there for a completely different reason. They weren't all there to climb mountains. They weren't all there to do charity work. Like, everyone had a different reason for being there. And when you start getting this different view from males, females, young, old, of all different races as well. So there's Nepalese stories in here as much as there's English people writing German, US. So the cross section of writers that have put this together makes it just so much better. I just can't say enough good things about it. What's also really cool about the way they've put it together is stories are short anyway to start with, but then as you're reading through, you'll they'll just have this little paragraph jammed in the side, and that'll be a little paragraph taken from someone else's book. So you end up with these paragraphs that you read while you're reading another short story. And then when you get to the end of every chapter, they'll have a super short story of about 2 paragraphs. And it just doesn't stop. Every single story's cool. There's ones about people hanging out at temples. There's ones about people whitewater rafting. There's hikers. There's mountain climbers. There's Sherpas. It's so cool, Craig.
Sells Nepal better than a Lonely Planet, eh? Yeah.
Oh, mate, any day. Like you read this book and you say, right, when are we going? Because you're really getting an insight into. There's people here that are staying in little houses with these guys. I mean, there's so much here. I don't want to read every damn thing because I'd literally be doing a 6-hour podcast on all the cool bits of this book.
Really?
Well, I will try and read this this little piece here. And I'll tell you the other thing too, that out of this book, I've written down at least 2 other books that I've loved the writer's short stories so much. I actually want to go and purchase the full book of theirs.
Really?
Because, because the way they speak. And this does kind of remind me of that Stephen Ranella book in the way that this one particular guy called James O'Reilly has written a book called Stairway to Heaven, which I really want to get my hands on. And it's about Nepal. And I just want to read you this real quick. Groaning with muscle aches after long days of hiking to Mercantarth and returning along the Kali River, I had the good fortune one day to fall in behind Kaesang, the younger of our 2 Sherpa helpers. Feet clad in crumbling sneakers, he walked with a lantern swinging from one hand, at such an unvarying pace that we called him the human metronome. I followed 2 feet behind him, and after an hour of unwittingly mirroring his rhythm, fell into timelessness. I lost all sense of physical discomfort. Up became the same as down, and was traversed at the same speed. I had nothing to do but enjoy the view, as though I was inside a well-muscled android. That's cool. Yeah. That caught my attention.
Awesome.
Yeah, and let me just see if there's one more. So yeah, that's definitely going to be a book because that's not just the only paragraph of his. Throughout this book, there's about another 3 paragraphs from that book, and I definitely want to get it. There's another one by a guy called Peter Matheson, and I'm sure a lot of people would know this. It's called The Snow Leopard. Mm-hmm. And again, there's about 2 or 3 paragraphs of snow leopard throughout this book, and he's just totally captured my imagination. In the clearness of this Himalayan air, mountains draw near, and in such splendor, tears come quietly to my eyes and cool my sunburned cheeks. This is not mere soft-mindedness, nor am I all that silly with the altitude. My head is cleared in these weeks, free of intrusions, mail, telephones, people and their needs, and I respond to things spontaneously, without defensive or self-conscious screens. Still, all this feeling is astonishing. Not so long ago, I could say truthfully that I had not shed a tear in 20 years. There you go. On that note, mate, how can I top that? I don't know how easy it is to get that book. I actually did look for it, and it seems like you can still pick it up quite easily through the usual channels. That's what I worry about sometimes when I get these fantastic books from these secondhand stores. I think I better be careful what I'm recommending because maybe it's not in print anymore, but that one most certainly is. So get your hands on that if you're interested in anything about Nepal. You're going to love that book.
Special read. Hey, listen, do they have anything on other sort of areas of the world as well? Or
I don't know. It's a really good question, and I haven't had time to research. My assumption is that would be 100% correct.
Possible.
In that, well, actually, I'm just looking in the back of the book, and this most certainly is the case, because the same companies made Traveller's Tales France, India, Mexico, Spain. So, oh wow, there's heaps. Hong Kong, San Francisco, Brazil, Thailand. So my assumption is that all of those are written in the same way, and that they've got a multitude of travel writers together and jammed them all into one book. So once you've read the Nepal one, you might want to go ahead and buy another 6 books on other countries you're interested in. A bit dangerous, that one, eh? Yeah. Drags you into a lot of spending.
Yeah, sounds good though.
Yeah, I did buy up about 3 or 4 good books recently, and what was it? Zen and the Art of Archery was the first one I read. Then I read, I'm into my second one. I've still got another 2 after that. So I'm stocked. I'm ready for lockdown, ready for reading about awesome places. Yeah. Mate, unless you got anything to add, I'm going to let these poor people get back to their lives.
All right. Okay, cool, man. Well, thanks, man. You've been an awesome guest, by the way, Tom.
Oh, thanks. It's always been my my wish, my dream to get on to one of the greatest podcasts on the planet.
But
any podcast, but one of the greatest ones. And maybe one day I will get on one of the greatest podcasts in the world. I don't know. There's still time. There's still time.
Stepping stones.
Yeah, I'll start with this one. I'll be telling people about this. What'd you do yesterday? Just a guest on a podcast. Yeah. Nothing big. No. But anyway, here's a link if you want to listen to it. I mean, you should really listen to it.
That's been good. That's been great.
You got anything to add before I sign off, mate?
No, mate. Just make sure everyone's looking after themselves at the moment, and I think this might be something we'll have to do a few times. These sort of remote options, and I think it was all right. It was good fun tonight.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. I was a bit worried about, just the dynamics of it, but wasn't too bad. This is not the most comfortable place jammed under this bunk bed, but maybe I'll try and make improvements for next time. I'm just glad we got it done.
Yeah, I can hear little bits of noises in your headphones. It could be you playing Lego. I'm not sure, but that's okay.
Yeah, mate. It could be. It could be that. It could be me reading one of these cool books, How to Train Your Dragon, or tripping over the drone that's under this table. Yeah, there's stuff everywhere here. So I probably want to add to everyone, thanks for writing to us, checking in on us. You know, maybe you didn't do any of that, maybe you just thought of us. That's great. Or you've continued to support us by listening to us. We do appreciate it. And I just, same as Craig, I just want everyone to look after themselves, look after your friends and family. And we are all, if this has proved anything, we are all part of the same planet, and we have different cultures, borders, rules, religions, and whatever. But really, I think that hikers, out of everybody I've met, people that spend time outdoors tend to bridge those gaps better than anybody. And we do share the same planet, and I know that everyone out there that listens to this is hoping that we all get out of it safely. So take care, everybody.
Well said, mate.
Thank you, mate.
See you guys.
Look after yourself too, eh?
You too. Okay,
all
cheers.
Right. See you guys.
If you're listening to this podcast on iTunes, we'd really appreciate your ratings and comments if you can spare the time. If you'd like to know more about HikeordieTV and keep track of our adventures around Australia, make sure you drop by HikeordieTV.com. That's where you'll find all the information you'll need to follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or Pinterest. As always, we appreciate your support. Thanks for listening.